So there we go. We're going to go broadcast this across Facebook and other places. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the GIMI Think Tank. We run this event every week, and we focus on 3 different types of topics. So tune in every single week to listen to one of the 3 topics. The first topic is what are the trends going on in our society, technology trends, consumer trends, market trends, economic trends, and how they will affect the future of the world, and for us to be prepared as innovators to start thinking how to create solutions for future problems today. Second part we talked about is innovation management, the future of innovation management. Every day things are changing, digital transformation is here, collaboration is here, the way we interact with each other is here, and all those are creating new ways to do innovation management. We are calling that innovation management 4.0. And under this 4.0 bucket, there are people giving us new ideas on how to approach innovation in new and different ways. GIMI is focused on bringing and making that happen. And number 3, of course, is learning about innovation into the geographies. We know the innovation that is being implemented in Brazil is different than that in Colombia, that is different than in Egypt, than it is in Dubai, that is different than Singapore. And we can learn from each other because we have seen again and again that the best ideas come by not looking inwards, but looking outwards. And so we have got speakers from different countries. This week, speaker introduction is from Norway. He is our latest member of the GIMI community. He's the certified training partner in Norway. And he is the leader in Norway in terms of innovation management, and in particular, open innovation. He leads an open innovation lab, partnering with over 50 corporations, and basically helps those companies find ideas, insights, assets to be able to go faster, to be able to do things cheaper, but ultimately to be able to do things bigger, better, and bolder. With that, let me invite you to Truls. He and I have been interacting for the last couple of weeks, and we feel kind of very familiar with each other and very close. So I'm very glad that you're part of this team, Truls, and the floor is yours. You're on mute, Truls.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And nice meeting you all. As HP says here, I'm happy to be part now and a newcomer to the GIMI. And from our viewpoint, what we're trying to do here in Norway and also on the Nordic level is to get some of the larger companies to think and work with innovation more like the scale-ups. So behind me here on the wall, you will see some of Norway's largest corporations. For example, we have the largest bank, we have the largest airline, we have the largest the tax authority of Norway, the Post of Norway. And some of these companies have been at it for a couple of 100 years, and they have 10 to 20,000 people. And some of them have been running scared over the last few years, saying that all the others are out to get us. We are not innovative, and the scale-ups and the startups, they are innovative. And basically what we have been trying to do here is to put them together and say, look, any scale-up, any startup would die. They would give their right hand to have a position like you guys have with you have the money, you have the employees, you have the talent, you have the customers, you have the money, and all of that, which is basically what the small ones are dying for. The only thing that the smaller ones have is a better process for innovation. So why don't you get your act together and become better at innovation as a core process? That's kind of the 1-minute pitch. And we basically also stating that 9 out of 10 companies, both in Norway and abroad, are nowhere near to exploit their potential when it comes to utilize all the great ideas and the innovation that they have potentially within their borders and also in their ecosystem. So that's kind of the starting ground, and we do have some member meetings, and we're having some working classes, and we have some workshops, and we have some conferences, and all of these things are basically in order to try to help those innovation professionals. So for Norway's largest oil company, they have some 25,000 employees. That's the largest company in the whole of the Nordic. Our members there are saying that it's damn hard to be innovative in a company that is so companies are not making it easier to become very innovative, as you all know. So, but I would say they are doing a pretty good job at it now from the strategic level. So part of what we're doing is trying to put this together, and I have a couple of slides that I would like to share with you, because I think that would make it a bit easier. And as HP said, I'm also heading up the Norwegian ISO 5600 committee. So I'm looking at it also from that point of view. I hope you can, is it possible to see my screen here now?
It's coming. Give us a few seconds. I think
Yeah.
your internet's a little slow, Truls. We're getting a little bit of delay on your voice also. So
okay. That's too bad.
Yeah. So we still cannot see the screen, or at least I cannot see the screen yet.
No. Okay.
So while we're waiting, maybe I'll just ask some questions. You have a community of 50 companies that are part of your innovation lab of Norway. Is that correct? The logos which are standing behind you, all those logos behind you, those are your portfolio of the lab, the innovation lab of Norway, of companies.
That's correct. And when you look at it, you will find there is no particular segment. There are a couple of banks, there are a couple of food producers, there are a couple of airlines, and basically we have them from all areas, and that is part of what we're trying to do.
Excellent.
We're trying to get people to talk together, which is commonly not used to talk together. So we're basically saying that there's a lot to learn from other areas.
Of course. We can see your slides now, and if you want to go full screen, we can go ahead, Truls.
Yeah, my problem right now is that my screen is kind of coming and going here a bit. So it's we have some kind of an issue here. It might be that I tried to, because I was trying to go up on WhatsApp at the same time here. So it might be that I'm the cause of the problem. Anyway, it's not usually like what I see here on the screen here now. So I might be needing to kill something. But
if you want to set yourself up a little bit just to see if you want to turn some things off, I'll give you a minute and I'll talk a little bit.
Yeah, could you do that? Because that would probably help. I need to turn on a few things, turn off a few things here.
Okay, no worries.
1 minute, I'll be back.
Okay, so just want to make sure our speaker is talking about open innovation and is basically recognizing that the biggest companies, although perceived as very innovative by the rest of the world, are not as innovative as they're perceived. And even internally, they are basically saying that we can do better. So one thing that I've learned, and Ron will tell you this, and everybody else will tell you this, it does not matter what company you go to, what Fortune 5,000 company you go to. Every CEO is dissatisfied about the pace of change, is dissatisfied about the pipeline of new innovations that are bringing to the table, and innovation management can help make them better. And in those companies that are a little bit more mature, so they need the next tools that will make a big difference. And the tools that everybody believes that are the best tools for the companies which are really mature now is this concept called open innovation, where you are now looking outside for ideas, collaborating with the ecosystem and managing the whole ecosystem to be able to go do more. And now the competition is not between companies, but it's between your innovation ecosystem versus their innovation ecosystem. And that's what Truls is trying to put together. Ron, you're going to make a comment on that just to make sure that innovation will always be needed in every company, in every government, in every university forever.
Yes, and here's for sure. And the faster things change, as the old French saying is, will change for whatever it is, the more they stay the same in terms of innovation is absolutely critical. If anything, it's going to get more important. The faster things change, the more important all of these aspects of high performance innovation are, both in the ecosystem and in your own environment and in your own life. And I appeal to everybody on this call and others to identify one category of things, which we're going to talk about today, is open innovation. Another category is the kind of capability to really build robust portfolios of projects and initiatives. Another is how you build powerful platforms that enable you to move rapidly and compete. Another one is how you build a vision and a strategy for innovation. But there's how you partner for innovation. There's probably 20 areas that hopefully we can agree on as you know, it's like we always talk about connecting the dots and grouping things, group. So we've got to get it down to, I would say, less to 10. I love 3, but if we can at least get it down to 10, and I'm sure open innovation is one of those, we'll be a long ways there if we can just agree on what areas individuals and ecosystems and companies need to excel in. And then we can talk about how you excel as part of the standards, but we at least need to identify and agree on the scope in language that everybody can understand around the world and that's easily translatable. So that's, yeah, I would just add that comment.
So there's a range of topics Ron mentioned that we will be talking about in other future GIMI Think Tank meetings. But in this particular one, open innovation, just want to remind different people on this call. Carlos, he built an amazing network of chief innovation officers across Brazil, and they would come together on a monthly basis to exchange ideas, learn new topics, and share. So the sharing of ideas and the ecosystem of innovation officers is what Carlos Ahoda did in Brazil through the Fundação Dom Cabral community. And this is the same thing of a different type, open innovation, right? Similarly, if you, and I'm going to ask you to invite different people to say some comments on that. So Carlos, just be ready for that, to say what it was that he did. Jin Hong has been doing exactly that. He's connecting the biggest companies like Samsung and LG to universities and using the talents of ideas of students, using a methodology from GIMI and IXL to be able to do more than Samsung can do alone. So Samsung is now able to act as if it's got 25 teams. But those teams are coming from business schools, do more than that they've ever done before. And that's open innovation also, a different type. Bob Schultz in Canada, he's connecting ecosystems after ecosystems everywhere, saying, how do we connect the African ecosystem with what's going on in the business schools, with what's going on with this health prize or something else? And he's trying to connect all the time the ecosystem, saying all that assets, if we can put them together, my goodness, how fast could you be? So inside this group of community of people, we are actually leading the change along with Truls on this open innovation. And if you want to map all the innovation activities we're doing, we'll map everything on that ecosystem, and maybe there's holes and we've got to find other people to add in there. But we are doing it. I want to make sure you guys hear that. We are doing it. What we are not doing is talking about it as if it's the force of change. And if we do it in that way and say, let's hear our 5 stories of innovation. Carlos, tell us what you did. Jin Hong, what did you do? Bob, what are you doing? We can make a big difference. So to put people on the spot, Carlos, por favor, tell us what you did in Brazil and what was the impact of sharing intelligence, ideas, and insights with that community that you built up.
Okay, thank you, Tendra. Very, very quickly. What we learned is that companies and people in charge of innovation companies, they need to learn new ways of innovating, collaborating among themselves, collaborating with startups, collaborating with universities, create innovation competitions. What are the different, like data? one hot topic now on the agenda is how to use data to generate innovation. Artificial intelligence collaborating with humans in generating innovation. Innovation is a dynamic process in organizations, and that's what our community do. We learn from each other, we improve our ways. Sometimes we collaborate. We had the case of a beauty company collaborating with paper and materials company, and where they create a new product combining beauty and things for teenagers and so on. Then the key element of our network is to learn from each other to improve our capacity.
So thank you, Carlos. So this was basically chief innovation officers of 30, 40 of the most important companies of Brazil. They got together and they could have competed, but they decided that it was better for them to collaborate. And in there, they were saying, here's my problems. How do you solve them? Exchange ideas. What are the new topics, the new insights, and increase the innovation intelligence of the whole group by talking to each other. And then in there were opportunities for collaboration, being real partnerships. And those partnerships created real products and real services, and even in some cases, some joint ventures and businesses that could come out of that. That is open innovation. And in the middle of it was Carlos almost being like a referee, facilitating these things because they will not facilitate themselves. You need a facilitator inside here, an institution of collaboration. And that institution of collaboration might be a university, like FTC. Inside there's a person who's got skills to balance out the conversations, Carlos. And inside here to make sure every ego which exists in that ecosystem is given the attention, the love, and whatever is necessary to make sure everybody gets a win, win, win. So
that's very good, HP. And Carlos, it sounds like you are doing more or less the same things that we are doing in Norway. So it's good to hear that you're doing the same thing. We have 50 companies in Norway, and we're also collaborating with some of the Swedish and Danish and Finnish companies, but mostly we are focused on Norway. So we're doing the same as you're doing in Brazil. Kudos.
I think
great.
so.
So again, adding to each other, there's more commonality amongst us than different sometimes. So let's learn and even accelerate our own sharing and knowledge around this thing. We'll call the Jin Hong later, and we'll give you the floor back again, Truls, since you are ready to go, I think.
Let's see if it works a bit better now, because my screen was going very strange here, but I think everything is a bit better now. What you should see now is a picture then of some of the coastline of Norway, and we're basically then. Can you see it now?
Yes, we can.
Good. And what we are then saying as kind of the opening line when we speak to the CEOs, the graph we like to show them is quite similar to the one you have shown us over the last few years, a few weeks, HP. But this is from actually from taken from Thomas Friedman's last book, and it's basically saying that that development and innovation is now happening so fast, and that the typical standard way of learning is no longer valid. You cannot really learn things fast enough on your own. So that's why you need to collaborate. So if you don't collaborate, you are losing out. And we're also having this one, which I probably think that you've seen. We are, by the way, happy to share the slides with you guys if you want that. But this is the one where we're talking about, and I'm sure you have heard about this VUCA. And so that basically now it's more about new ways of leading as well. And that's why we're saying that to be doing innovation in a proper style in 2022, you need to jump between the learning zone and the performance zone. So this is a slide that we're using and saying that, okay, you need to use this growth mindset for your employees, but this is not enough. You need also to learn and then to perform, and then to learn, and then to perform. And we're using the soccer players as saying that even though you might be a Ronaldo or you might be a Messi, you would still go back and train every week in order to be a bit better. And then the question we pop up is how much training has you done in the field of innovation over the last 2 years? And too often the answer is very little. So based on that, that's where we're saying that, so what we are providing them with is basically they need to have their own mindset. So hopefully they have a growth mindset, but then we can help them with the skill set, and we can also help them with the tool set. And obviously this is the components of what we are offering. So there's some conferences, there's some meetings, there's some master classes, and some different things. And we are then basically saying that this is all about collaboration. It's about teamwork, and it's also about learning from each other and understanding that even though you might be working in a very, very large organization, you will have more in common with some people that are trying to do the same things as you are doing in a completely other environment than you will from your employees, because it's too many employees that are happy with the status quo. And if you are a change maker, as any good innovator should be, then it's always important to remember that change is hard. It's probably the toughest job we do. So with that based, we are then going back and saying that what we call it Innovation 2.0. And we're basically saying that, and this is where we are stealing a bit from the ISO. So this is again why you should concentrate on becoming better at innovation, because these are some of the advantages that you can get out of this. And we are also then going in back to these 7 guiding principles. We can jump back to that, but then we're also diving into this one, which we kind of like, because it's putting the whole innovation management into a graphical figure. This is, by the way, also from ISO 5602. And all it's doing is trying to say that innovation by itself is a management process. I think what you have been teaching us over the last couple of weeks, HP, is very much in line with this one. So we built this and we made this slide and say that as a manager in any of our member companies, you should be aware that this is something that is still a bit early, but it's going to be a standard, and it's not enough to do as the standard says. You need to do more than that. So that's back to here is kind of the typical to-do list for the managers or for the leaders of these companies. We could dive into that, but I just wanted to show this to you. And we're also basically saying that if you're a member of Open Innovation Lab, you need to have a portfolio of innovation projects, but you also need to categorize them. And this is the way we have categorized it. And I happen to think that the way you've done it with GIMI is probably a bit better. But this is, again, taken more from the standard. So we're basically saying that there's a matrice here, a matrix, and you need to score yourself. Is the idea 1-1, or is it a 2-2, or a 1-3, or and as long as you're in the between below 3-3, then it would be a core innovation or an incremental innovation. So we basically then saying that you should do this, and we also put together what we call an early learning system. So this is one of the advantages of being a member, because we have pinpointed some more than 5,000 different projects that has gone bad. A lot of innovation projects has gone bad, but with some professors in Norway and in Holland, they have categorized all of those projects and found that for all the projects that have gone wrong, it's only 16 mistakes that you could kind of, or archetypes that you can kind of put them into. And then we're also basically challenged them a bit and saying that, okay, you need to measure innovation in a better ways than you have than what you have been doing. So we also have made a scorecard, an innovation scorecard, and we are giving that away for free to the members. That is very, very quick tour of what we are trying to concentrate on. And obviously the 7 guiding principles here is something you can kind of work on for a year, and then you can just basically start fresh again in a new way, because you never really get to finish off on this. So that's very, very quick. We could talk a lot more, but it's more interesting to hear your questions, I guess. But this is what Open Innovation Lab is trying to do. And we work with the political leaders, but we also work mostly with the management of those companies that you can see on this.
Thank you.
Professional. You very often you are in a position where it's hard for you to get a meeting with the CEO. That's why sometimes it's good to have people like us that can go in and do that. And we sometimes also invite people from abroad that can go in and do that kind of meetings.
Truls.
Okay.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I think it gets a glimpse on many of the issues of innovation and what the challenges are. And I think, as you said, this story will continue. Even if you do improve, then you can start again. And because this journey never ends. And so
never ends.
Yeah, this profession is a lifetime profession, and companies will never get to the point of excellence. They can only strive for excellence. So as the people listening, maybe they've got questions. Let me get you started. But everybody, it'd be nice to get some questions for Truls. That'd be great. I'll get you with the first question, Truls, in general. I lost Truls. I hope Truls is there. Then we lost him. All right. In that case, Bob, why don't you ask your question, and then maybe we can try and answer it amongst ourselves.
Well, as usual, I have probably 3, but we'll start with 1. What is the connection, if any, with Statoil? Because that's a huge global energy company. 2, the connections with universities. I'd like to know more about that, because as you know, from our recent discussions we had in Boston, I'm right in the bit as we're doing some multitasking. There now are, I think, 130 University of Calgary MBA graduates from Innovation Olympics. And now I'm trying to get them networked up together. So I want to know what's happening inside Norway. And 3 is, what connections, if any, does he have with Sweden and Finland? Because Finland's well known at the world level for their advanced gaming, ed tech, and digital skills. So those are my 3 questions. Statoil, universities, and Norway, Sweden, Finland, maybe Denmark.
That's a good point. Truls is offline right now, so I will speak with him or for him in some aspect. We are forming a partnership with the Innovation Olympics with his 50 companies in that portfolio. And the idea over here is we'll offer his clients, student teams, to be able to figure out what's next and what else for each of those programs. We're putting together a package which will be able to market to his 50 companies. And each of those company CEOs will have now in their back pocket an open innovation turnkey program, which will allow them to get new ideas and new everything else. So that's one thing that we're doing. And we'll be looking at universities from Norway and Sweden as a starting point, if that's a preference. And so we'll add Norwegian, Swedish, Finland, Danish schools into the program. But we will also, of course, be offering the network of business schools that are part of the Innovation Olympics, which are in the US, the Harvards, the Stanfords, the Whartons, the Kellogg's, the Hults, the Dardens, and others. or as you're going to Europe, whether it's ISADE and all those other schools also. So we're going to be talking about how we can link Innovation Olympics together. Truls, I'm glad you're back. The question that was asked was twofold. What are the relationships that you have specifically with Statoil? And because Bob thinks there might be some things you can connect with Calgary, because that's an oil and gas country also. And part is what universities do you have connections on, of course.
Okay. First, it's Statoil is no longer called Statoil. They changed the name 2 years ago, so it's now called Equinor. But Equinor is a member, and they are Norway's largest company, but they're also the Nordic's largest company. So you will find the Equinor logo somewhere on the slide here. And when it comes to universities, we have two of the Norwegian universities, but this is a strange situation. We probably have a better working relationship with Stanford and Berkeley, and I'm a guest lecturer at the Tsinghua University in Beijing. But the Oslo University, which is more or less a couple of stone throws from where we're sitting, we don't really have a very good relationship with them. They tend to think that if you have not been a professor over the last 15 years from that university, your education is probably no good. So this is kind of strange. But the Norwegian in Bergen and the one in Trondheim, which is the technical university, so the kind of the MIT of Norway and then the Harvard of Norway, we have as partners.
So Truls, maybe two things on that front. Number one is our collaboration that we're discussing is to link the Innovation Olympics into your ecosystem of the Innovation Labs of Norway. And therefore we can access all these business schools around the world, but we can also use that to maybe invite more business schools in Norway to be part of this program also. So that's one thing, and maybe you might want to comment on that. And the other one is right amongst us, Truls, in our GIMI network, are professors of innovation, and they can all affiliate with the GIMI Institute faculty. And therefore, if they need a faculty affiliation, GIMI Institute can provide that faculty affiliation, and therefore now you can go teach and say, I'm a faculty at the Global Innovation Management Institute. And same thing for Carlos. He's a professor and he was at Fundação, which is like in the top 5, one of the top 7 executive programs in the world. And we've got Bob again, professor at Calgary. We got Ron, who has taught at Tufts as well as at Hult with myself and others. We have got Jin Hong, who's been teaching also. We've got all this network of professors who are also consultants, but they will never, some of those guys will become professors because they got PhDs and they got all those credentials, which they kind of sit in those quiet rooms and have the coffee mugs and they pontificate. We are practitioners who make it real. And we're giving practical information. And therefore, we need our own way to become faculty and teach. And so I just want to offer those two options. Thought on the Olympics and then the faculty.
I applaud the idea of having this faculty, and what we found is that some of the Norwegian professors are really open-minded and they are great members of Open Innovation Lab, but then there's also some that we basically just have found that we are better off without. And this is why, and I think that's an important fact that I did not mention, but you cannot become a member of Open Innovation Lab of Norway. You cannot, you have to be invited. So therefore we have kind of, it's a bit strange in a way that we are Open Innovation Lab of Norway, but it's a closed community in the way that you have to be invited to become a member. And the reason I've done that is that I used to be the chairman of the Norwegian Computer Association. And in the Norwegian Computer Association, we had everyone that wanted and their uncle could become a member if they wanted. And what I learned was that it's not only the number that is important. I totally agree that it's important to have the most important ones with us, But from there on, it's not like the value of the network is not increasing only by adding people. So the only ones we are adding now are people that can bring something to the table.
Good.
Tendre,
Carlos.
no, just to confirm what Truls said, the same thing happened with us. So we are very open. We invite many people. And also we just add people who can add experience. It's not a learning community. It's a community of practice. They have to bring something to the table and takes a lot from the table, from the group. Another point that you comment, we have the same situation in Brazil. Universities are invited, but they tend not to participate, to collaborate. And that's why we created another community of faculty who teach innovation and entrepreneurship universities in Brazil. Somehow we could connect to your initiative in Brazil. We today have 36 professors from different universities who teach innovation and entrepreneurship, who also meet occasionally to share experience, but they don't welcome them, but they don't tend to stay in the community. Not the consultants. Consultants like, of course, the community because they learn a lot from them. Thank you.
Yeah, no, good, Carlos. Thanks for sharing. I think that's good tools for us to connect on that side also. And I think it really comes down to the fact that consultants are very quick to learn what's the most important things, and they are willing to share and teach other people. They don't need ownership. But a lot of faculty and PhD types have to publish papers and say, look what I came up with. And they are not so happy collaborating because they can't publish if everybody else knows what they want.
Yeah, I just want to add one more thing that we also done, which was a bit unpopular when we did it, because we basically said that we are only for companies with Norwegian headquarters. You will not see Microsoft or Google or IBM on this list. And that's not because they did not want to be on the list, but it's because we basically said that you guys are not, you're not doing the innovation work as a company in Norway anyway. You are mostly selling what has been innovated in other places, and that's not what we want. So we are basically saying that you can come in and you can do a speech, or we can have you in talk at the conference, but we don't want them as members.
Excellent. Jin Hong, I'm going to put you on the spot as a question just to ask, and let me frame the question. I'll give you some time to think about it. In Korea, different environment than Norway. You've got powerful companies like Samsung, LG, POSCO, Hyundai, and others. And you got also very world-class institutions like Yonsei University, the Korean University of Korea, Seoul National, and others, really good schools. And in there is competition, tremendous competition going on. How do you get the program that you have designed, Jin Hong, with Yonsei University to create collaboration with the university and the companies, or do you have to keep them isolated and separated, and Yonsei with LG and maybe Seoul National with Samsung or other things? Do you have to create an ecosystem, or are you able to cross-fertilize ideas? You're on mute. There you
go. It's a very difficult question and issues, and actually, most companies, including Samsung or LG or corporations, big companies, have their own some how should I say it, placed in Seoul University or Yonsei University in order to connect with some advanced technologies or in the future. So they had already placed all all the what is for acquiring some advanced technologies or in terms of open innovation. Of course, they have already their own research and development center, very big, but they also they want to capture more advanced technology in the future from the university, from investing or is in the some center or in famous universities. So, but they don't how should I say it? They don't some ecosystem in terms of Yonsei and or Seoul University for the company. They just only separate. They just have only separate investment in each university, and so I have an idea about some. They have some ecosystems for open innovation, including all the universities. They just invest in some each university for their own purpose at their time. Yeah.
No, Jinong, so what I heard Jinong say is in countries like Korea, the big companies are investing in open innovation, but they're selecting specific areas of a university.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
And they are not necessarily thinking of it still as an ecosystem of students and science and technology and business students, and maybe creating new startups and all those combinations together. So they are still in what I would call traditional open innovation, selecting what specific they want, they go to it, they do the partnership with the professor, they get the research done, they grab the technology.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And the program that Jin Hong has put together is taking technologies and know-how inside the companies and then giving them MBA students to be able to create business cases for what they are doing inside their science and technology. So now the question is, what about the MBA students with the engineering students of that professor that they're doing research? If you combine that together, now you might even have a more powerful thing as an offering, combining those two things together. So again, think how you can connect the dots of all the ecosystems. And we are all working in our little silos, but those silos can then connect, and then we can do more. That's great. So another example of that, of innovation that's going on. Truls, there was a question asked about the archetypes of failures. And can you just share, you don't have to tell all of them, but can you just tell 3, 4, 5 of them, or what are the standard failures that you see in innovation happening all the time? And this was the architecture that Truls you had shown with 16 of them or 17 types of standard failures. And tell us 2 or 3 of them at the high level so we get what they are, and then people can get excited about that tool, and maybe they can replicate and use the tool also.
Yes, I certainly, and I have to say that this has been in the most part, it's been the work of a Dutch professor. His name is Professor Paul Iske, and it's quite impressive, in my opinion, what he has done. So, but I'm not sure if we should kind of go through how much in detail, because you basically what he's done is that he's made a system where you can digitally go in and describe why the project went sour, and he will say, okay, this looks like what he calls, for example, one of those 16 archetypes is what he called the diver in Acapulco. And basically, the diver in Acapulco is if you hit the wrong moment in time, if you lose out on the timing, you will not hit the water, you will hit the ground. So it's about timing. Another one is for example, the Grand Canyon thinking, where you basically are so into what is going on in your company that you fail to see that it's a better solution if you raise your eyes a bit and see outside. You have the empty seat at the table, which is the third archetype, basically meaning that you forgot to ask your users, or you forgot to ask the one that is basically paying the bill. So the innovation project might be fun, it might be interesting, but it will hit the wall because nobody is willing to pay for it anymore, because you then did the mistake of not including the guy with the wallet. So those are 3 of those 16. We have written a couple of articles about that. Some of them are in English, so it's easy to share that within the group. We can send that over. And also the slide that I showed you guys, I'll share that with Arila so she can share it out. I'm not sure how I can get my mobile WhatsApp app to share my PowerPoint. I'm lousy at WhatsApp. I'm pretty good at a lot of other tools, but I'm happy to share it. Yes.
Oh, sorry. No, that'd be great. This is Julie Cooper, and I had typed the first question, but I had a quick follow-up. The 16 archetypes, I was really struck by that. Is it being used also as a diagnostic tool? I mean, even as simply as a checklist to go through, and when you're in the middle of it and see something going south.
Thank you for Julie for asking that. And basically, we are recommending for all members, and we have basically offered it for free for the users. And we say that it was meant in the beginning as a post-mortem kind of thing. But what we've done is that we have put together 12 questions so that when you start out the project, when you answer these kind of questions, for example, do you have anyone representing the user view here? Do you have anyone representing the wallet view? Then you, after those 12 questions, you will end up and they will actually point towards and saying that, okay, you are clear of archetype 1, 5, 7, 9, and 11, but you still need to take care of and be careful so that you don't hit number 2 and number 6. And it's not only on the starting level; it's also a very good tool for assessing any innovation project while the innovation project is moving. Because anyone that has been working with innovation for some years, and I've been working with innovation for 25 years, we know that sometimes an innovation project should probably be killed, but it's not killed as long as there's anyone in there believing in it. And this as a tool, while for like a 3-month assessment test, is very, very useful. So it's at the personal level, it's in the beginning, it's while the project moves, and then it's post-mortem. But you can also use it at the team level, which is probably even more interesting, because if you have 6 people in the group that are strong believers that, this is going really good, but then you have one which is saying, we're probably hitting the elephant problem here, which is one of those archetypes again, where the problem is that if you we don't really have time to go into the details about that, but there's an explanation for all of those 16 archetypes I'm happy to share with you guys. And the tool itself is something I would recommend. And Paul is a great guy. So he might, I'm not sure if he's willing to kind of share it with, but I'm happy on behalf of Open Innovation Lab to share that with the GIMI colleagues of ours. So I will reach out and ask about that. So it's something I probably would recommend that you guys invite. We should probably invite Paul Isked in for like a 30-minute demonstration of it, because that will be very tremendously useful and probably something that can add to the GIMI tool set.
Tools, I think this is a wonderful set of tools. It helps people analyze their projects to see what they're screwing up on prior to it failing. And therefore, anything that gives you a warning, an early indicator of what you might want to fix is
Yeah,
better.
we actually call it early learning system.
Yep, love it. I love it. And so we should certainly bring it to the table and do that. Truls, we are running into the end of this session. I think we've learned a lot about what you're doing in Norway. I think you can see there are other partners around the world you can connect to also and learn from. So that's good. We also think others should connect to Truls for some of the things that he's doing. They also have additional new methods that can be useful for all of us. And so that's part of this training and the sharing in the GIMI Think Tank. So with that, I want to first say, Truls, welcome to the GIMI community. Welcome to becoming a certified training partner of GIMI. And look at all of us to help you be successful and learn from each other of new products, new services, new ways to impact your local ecosystem. And let's try and get this in 10x and go back to the philosophy together we can.
Thank you very much, HP. And as soon as I'm out of this Corona thing now, I'm going to send you this invitation to be a speaker at this Innovationsdagen, which is our main event of the year, where we now have the Prime Minister opening up the show in, it's the first day of September. And I would say anyone in this group that would be interested in going to Oslo would be invited for that. But this is also, again, a special invitation group where we are getting some of Norway's leading CEOs to the table, and then we are treating them to a nice dinner afterwards.
Wonderful. I'm honored and I would be excited. And who doesn't want to be in beautiful Norway with the fjords and the beautiful coastlines and everything else? We'd love to do that. Thank you.
Okay, hope it's been useful. Nice getting to meet all of you and great questions. So thank you with that. And I look forward to ping pong more ideas and have some good human collisions over the next couple of months.
Thank you very much, Truls. Thanks, everybody. Stay on the line. We will stop broadcasting now and we can debrief in any way we want.